welcome to episode 13 of Sit for a Spell. It's a special celebratory episode today. I'm going to do something, to celebrate this little landmark. I thought I'd start with a bit of an update based on previous stuff that I've done. If you'll remember the Snow Magic episode, which was episode 12, I said in my infinite wisdom that it doesn't tend to snow that much here in the Okanagan and it would probably melt fairly quickly. Well, obviously I am a liar. So what that probably means in terms of my magic is that the spell to get rid of bureaucracy is likely to take a while to manifest. We're standing right under a tree that's threatening to drop snow on our heads. This is where we are. Okay. Record snowfall today. Right. Okay, so that spell's going to take a while to manifest. But on the other hand, the spell that I did to help my husband's healing should last longer. So, hey, that's cool. Ups and downs, right? Another update. Some of you may remember the piggy bank spell. And I'm afraid I don't remember which episode that was off the top of my head. I think it was 3 or 4. But over the course of the year, you'll remember that I reported initial overwhelming success, and it was very good. But over the course of the year, the spell began to diminish as I began to put smaller and smaller bits of change into the piggy bank. At the end of 2012, I had the feeling like it was time to dissipate the energy, so I took the piggy bank home, I took it apart, I took all the money and brought it into my house and my store, right? It's rolled up into change things now, which are going into my bank account. And the idea being now we'll bring the money that is gained from that into my household and into funding my store. And I don't know if it's related. It's one of those gray things, but I got put in touch with some things to further my writing career immediately afterwards. So, and they have potential for good future financial gains. So maybe that has something to do with it, transferring the money from the store focus to my home and myself. So, figured I'd throw that out there because I promised that I'd keep people updated. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a focus on the number 13 in Magic, and I would like to thank Garth Bader for his suggestion for this particular idea, and as a thank you for that, he gets a free DVD with the first 8 episodes of Sit for a Spell on it, so thank you very much. So I made a few notes about the significance of the number 13 in magic and occultism and superstition. Now, the most familiar one you're going to be accustomed to is Friday the 13th being an unlucky day. And this actually doesn't appear until about the 1800s, so we're not really sure where it comes from. But some theories include the fact that the Templars, on the 13th of October in 1307, were arrested en masse and subsequently executed for treason in France, and this was believed to be an act against God and the Church, so it was considered to be an unlucky day. What's interesting is that in Spanish-speaking countries, Tuesday the 13th is considered to be an unlucky day. Tuesday, of course, is associated with Aries, god of war, that kind of idea. In, let's see, what was it? Tuesday the 13th of April, 1204, Constantinople was destroyed in the Fourth Crusade. And for those who aren't familiar, Constantinople was supposed to be a light of faith and tolerance in the ancient world, the Middle Ages, and so its destruction signified the beginning of the true Dark Ages in some people's estimation, so that's kind of interesting. 12 is considered to be the number of completion in many different systems of magic and in many significant mythological elements. For instance, there are 12 signs of the zodiac, 12 apostles, 12 successors of Muhammad in Shia Islam. There are 12 tribes of Israel, and there are 12 gods of Olympus. right? So 13 is sort of a transgressor's number. It's outside of the natural order. It's probably partially for that reason that we have 13 members in a coven of witches traditionally. I think that we like to be sort of transgressors. We walk between the worlds, so to speak, and that's probably part of the element of it. The other thing, of course, is that 13 is a goddess number because there are 13 moons in the lunar year. 12 months, but 13 actual moons. So those cycles are goddess associated, and so it's a holy number of the lady. In numerology, 1 plus 3 is how you would break down 13, and it would equal out to 4, which is a number of earth matters, so prosperity and balance. So you can look at it from either direction. From another negative perspective, there are, according to the Last Supper and a couple of different stories in Norse myth, having 13 diners at a meal is unlikely. It will involve the death of one of them eventually. I think there's a Celtic myth about that too, actually, but don't quote me on that. So there's a couple of things about 13. So I'm going to do a charm and a spell associated with 13 this afternoon. Okay, one simple charm that you can do utilizing the number 13. 13 is associated with banishing in magic. We are currently in a waning moon, so this is a good time to do a banishing spell. So if there's something that you would like to get rid of, or, you know, sometimes someone, right, focus on whatever that might be. Well, just a second, here's somebody in the kitchen. I'm going to close the door. Okay. Now, yeah, you focus on whatever that might be. And then you spin around in a circle counterclockwise 13 times. Visualizing it going away. Sure I'm not falling into the bed. How many was that? 6?
I have no clue. I can't.
9, 10. Getting dizzy here. 11. 12, 13. You kind of visualize it just kind of going away. Now I'm a little dizzy. That's okay. Alright, so my cameraman is laughing at me. Alright, so we're going to do a spell utilizing the number 13. For banishing purposes. This is a hex. For those of you who do not like to do hex magic or believe that it is wrong to do hex magic according to the Rede, well, I don't recommend this spell for you. I'm sort of an old school witch. I believe, "and it harm none, do as thou wilt," means that if one is going to do something that is potentially harmful, one should be willing to accept the consequences of it and consider the greater good overall. Not, one should never hurt anything or anyone ever in your whole life. That's me, right? So every witch has to interpret the Rede in their own way. I will not tell you what is the right or wrong way to do that. However, this hex is not harmful unless somebody has done something harmful. What it does is returns back what is sent. Most hexes that I make use of, and I do use a couple of them, do that. For instance, I have a hex on my store. If you take something from it without an agreed upon fair exchange, either in the form of money or service or whatever, then it will bring you bad luck until you return it. So it's harmless if you bear no ill will. It will only hurt you if you have earned that upon yourself. That's my way of dealing with most things. I have done exactly one actual negative hex in my life and I'm not going to get into the details of it, but it was worth it. So, what we're doing today is a return to sender spell, basically. It's a mojo hoodoo hex, so hoodoo being the folk magic tradition of the United States, particularly around the Appalachian Mountains and that sort of area, which likely descends from Dutch superstition. So that is what hoodoo is, as opposed to voodoo, which is a religion that originates in Africa and was reinterpreted by African American slaves brought over to the New World and adapted so that it was safe to practice within a Catholic world framework. So, so that's the difference loosely. Please don't get on my case if you're a voodoo. I'm just trying to give the basic explanation. I know it's a bit more complicated than that. So, hoodoo, folk magic, charms, anybody can do it. Any religion does it. Okay, it starts by calling for a jar of well water. This is an old pickle jar. I don't have well water. I don't have a well here. What I have here is toilet water. Relax. It's clean. I did flush first. Why you use that? Because it's associated with going into the earth, with deep mysteries, and with the subconscious. There you go. I use the toilet specifically because it's associated with flushing things away from you. Really, really, I've actually gotten rid of things. Simple charm, another simple charm you can do. Want to get rid of something? Write it on a piece of paper, flush it down the toilet. Why not? It also calls for 13 nails. I have 13 very pointy screws right here. So, there. So what you do is you take your jar of water. You light a black candle, black being the color of banishing and getting rid of negativity. I have here little black tea lights. Any kind of black candle will work. Hopefully it stays lit because it's a cheap little tea light. I'm going to put it in my lovely little candle burner here. You like my symbolism? Am I freaking people out? Why the skull? Because the skull, representing death, represents an ending to things. So I'm ending the influence of a negative or several negative individuals who are causing problems in my life. I don't want to cause them death. That's not my goal. I don't even want to cause them harm. I just want to reflect what they're doing back on them until they stop attacking me. I want to deflect their attack. So, no, I'm not going to tell you who that is. Candle went out. Because that is one of the things about magic, the 4 powers of the magician: to know, to will, to dare, to keep silent. Keeping silent involves not sharing the details of your spell that will cause other people to work against you. So it doesn't serve any good to tell your fundamentalist Christian aunt about your spell. First of all, even if she believes you, which her disbelief will work against you right off the bat, she obviously is opposed to you. She will pray that you learn the error of your evil ways and that God will bring you back to the light and save your soul. And all of that, of course, works against what you're trying to do. So, it's not worth the effort. Only share information about magic with other people who will understand. And this is one of the reasons why they say properly prepared. Share things with those who are properly prepared. It means they're ready to do the work with you rather than against you. Even telling your atheist friend, hey, I did this spell, and your atheist friend going, you know, what an idiot you are, kind of thing, works against you. So, okay. So we have our jar of toilet water. And we're putting in our screws. Screw you, right? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Now what you do is you write the name of your enemy on 13 different pieces of paper. No, I'm not sharing what that is with you. None of your business. You can fold up the papers as you want or not. I'm folding them up so that you can't see what I'm doing with them, who I am hexing. If you're going to use a hex, I caution you not to do it willy-nilly. Just because somebody cut you off in traffic does not mean they're worthy of something that deflects their attacks back at them. People make mistakes. You know, have some patience for people, and certainly don't wish them harm. Even the most negative hex that I've ever done in my life, which I mentioned, did not directly wish somebody harm. It just created a protection around another person that would have caused harm if it needed to, and it did. So, you know, that's one of those things. I think I'm going to do that because you can see some of those letters. Where was I at? 6? 6. Right, so, and again, you have to be willing to accept the consequences. I have an exercise which I teach my students that has to do with what would you do if you found some guy attacking some girl in an alley. How would you handle it? There's really no way to cause no harm. If you wait and call the police, then the girl is likely to get hurt. So you've caused harm by delay. If you attack the guy, he's likely to get hurt, so are you. If you attack the guy with a weapon, then you're likely to really hurt him, and you're likely to go to jail. It's, you know, there's no good way to handle that. There's no way to cause no harm. So what you must do as a witch in that particular case, in my belief, is to make your choice, do whatever you view as morally right, and accept the consequences of whatever that is. And now one more. 13. And then once again, we're going to utilize the energy of 13. We're going to repeat a little rune, right? Let the spell be spake in rhyme. So, what you do shall be returned to you. 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 By the power of 3 times 3, as I will, so mote it be. Now you take this and you bury it preferably near an area where your enemy may be, but if not, you bury it outside your front door, and it will protect you against their harm and return what they have done back to them. So, depending on how you feel about that, you'll have to make your own judgments. that is all I have, I believe, for sit for a spell today. Was there anything else that I wanted to do? I thought there had been, but I don't recall. Nope. So, thank you very much for joining us, and I will see you next time. Marry me?